what we are doing today is the most important, in my opinion, lesson of all of Algebra 1. There are a handful of lessons that make kids successful for the rest of their math life, and this is one of those lessons that if you get it today, you are going to be so much happier with yourself for the next 3 years. So what it is called factoring. So it's a little strange, but what we do at first is we have to label some numbers. So we have an A, which is the number in front. So in example 1, my A is 2. I have a B, which is the second number. In this one here, it's a 5. Then I have a C, which is my third number. And this one here is a 3. So we start by labeling A, B, and C. So now, in my X, we talked about X puzzles yesterday. In this X, we take our A times C, and we put it on the top. So in this example, A is 3, and A is 2, and C is 3. So 2 times 3 is the number 6. B stands for bottoms. The number that goes in the bottom is a 5. Okay, so the top and the bottom of the X are now done. It's always going to be AC on the top. Air conditioning blows from the ceiling, so my A times C is the top, and B stands for bottom. So what we did yesterday, to solve an X puzzle, you write out all the factors. I like to put them in order, starting with 1. Now, which of these factors would multiply to make 6, but add to make a 5? The correct answer is 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 3 is 5. So the reason why we did that is because if we look at this expression, there are only 3 terms. Yesterday, when you factored, there were 4 terms. So this process is called splitting the middle. At first, it's going to seem weird, but once you do it a few times, it'll become really easy. So what this means is the first number gets to stay, 2x squared. Instead of the middle, I'm writing it as those 2 things that we got in our x. It's a 2, I put an x with it, plus 3x. And then the back number from your original problem comes down. So splitting the middle means instead of writing 5x, that's the same as writing 2x plus 3x, because 2 plus 3 is 5. The reason why I had to split that middle is because now I can factor by grouping. You got really good at this yesterday. Factor by grouping means that we have to divide the number they have in common. This one I can take a 2 and an x out. So my GCF is 2x. What's left over? 2 divided by 2 is 1. When exponents are stacked, you subtract. 2 divided by 2 is 1. When exponents are stacked, 1 minus 1, no more x's. That's the GCF of the first terms. Now I can take the GCF of the second terms. A 3 can be taken out of both of those. I cannot take out an x though, because this has an x, but this one does not. But a 3 can come out. That leaves me with 1x plus 1. Would you look at that? They match. What we did yesterday is we had to make sure they match. And when they do, that's your answer. 1x is the same as just x. It's x plus 1. The numbers left over are 2x plus 3. And that is your factored answer. So now you can always check, like yesterday. 1x times 2x is 2x squared. 1x times 3 is 3x. 1 times 2 is 2x. 1 times 3 is 3. It's the opposite of double distributing. Very easy. Let's do that a couple more times. In number 2, this is the same as writing 1x squared. A is the number 1, B is the number 10, C is the number 25. So I start by multiplying. My A times my C is 25. B stands for bottom, so I put a 10 at the bottom. I list my factors of 25. Then I figure out which ones add to make the bottom number. I use those numbers to split the middle. The first term gets to stay. The middle terms become 5x plus 5x. The back number is positive 25. Now I have 4 terms, so I can split the middle and take out the greatest common factor. The GCF of 1 and 5 is just 1. It's the only thing we can divide them by. They both have an x in common. So I can remove a 1x. 1 divided by 1 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1x plus 5 divided by 1 is 5. Other side. I can take a 5 out. 5 divided by 5 is 1 with an x. 25 divided by 5 is 5. The insides match. So my final answer is 1x plus 5. 1x plus 5, which is the same as x plus 5, x plus 5. Let's do that 2 more times. Number 3, A is 1. B is negative 4. C is 3. Be careful, make sure your B is that negative because there's a minus there. The top of your X is your A number times your C number. Bottom, B, stands for bottom. Air conditioning blows on the top, your AC. B stands for bottom. Negative 4. I write my factors of 3. 1 times 3 makes 3. Then what we learned is if the top is positive, it means my signs had to be the same. So a negative times a negative makes a positive 3 when you multiply. If you typed it in the calculator, negative 1 plus negative 3, you would get the number negative 4. Okay? So now we have 2 terms to split that middle with. So I write my question, 1x squared minus 1x minus 3x plus 3. The A and the C stay. I split the middle into the 2 terms from the x puzzle. Draw my line. I can take a 1x out of both terms. That leaves me with a 1x minus 1. I can divide these by 3, but I always have to take the sign of the third term. So that's a negative, so I can take out a negative 3. That's the only way that they're going to match. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1 with an x. 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. Voila, my parentheses match. 1x minus 1. The numbers chilling in the front were 1x minus 3. Factored. Okay, try the same thing with number 4. Once you do number 4, I need for you to flip to the back, and you are factoring. For these first ones, you can put a 1 in the front to help you out. My A is 1. A times C on the top, B on the bottom. So go ahead, factor by splitting the middle for numbers 1 through 12. Not too bad.